Hey, folks, I got something on my mind. I've talked about it before in a recent podcast episode, and I've done a short thread on it. But as I was working through my latest article, which I hope you will go read at justhuman.substack.com, or if you don't want to read it, listen to me go over it in video form, which I've released on my Substack and in all the other places that I make videos. Um, an article and video going over the Comey case and what we learned from it. As I was going through that material that we gained from the Comey case that was disclosed through it, I got back on this idea that has to do with the referral from CIA that was sent to James Comey and Peter Strzok regarding the Clinton plan intelligence and how it was missing. And we got this disclosure in the Comey case about how Kash Patel and his team found it in this infamous room 9582 skiff at FBI headquarters. And we don't know if it was in the safe there or if it was in one of the burn bags, but it was located there and it was believed to be missing for years. And I can't get this out of my head. And I have covered it a little bit before, but I want to run through it again in the same way that an investigator, or I mean, approximating, let's say, the way an investigator would take a line of evidence and go back to the beginning and then stack it all up again and see where it leads and what new thoughts might arise, or if you might see that string of evidence a little bit differently. If you might gain some insight from it. And I want to do that because in writing my most recent article, which again, I hope you'll go read at justhuman.substack.com, I had a new idea. And there was a piece of news recently, not super recently, it's from a month ago, almost exactly a month ago. And that piece of news just kind of hit different. It hit me differently. And it gave me a thought that I think you will enjoy arriving at with me. But I don't think it's something it's one of those times where I think it's best delivered after I give it a good setup. So if I've intrigued you with this, you want to take a trip down Russiagate, Crossfire Hurricane story time, and you're interested in how stuff that happened back then has a high potential of coming up again in a future criminal case, and maybe also a little bit of an explanation of what the Comey case was about in at least one respect, I hope you'll join me. I think you'll like where we're going to go with this. So welcome. Linktree is here in the usual spots. Find all the places to follow, watch, listen, and support. Thank you to everybody who's contributing to my coffee habit and pacer addiction, however you choose to do so. Referral links or Venmo or Substack subscriptions. By the way, I got a check from Manly Cans recently. Thank you, everybody who's used Manly Cans for Christmas gift giving. I do like a lot of their products, especially their bearded products. There's a lot of the companies out there that do, kind of I don't know if it's aggregated or like a gift basket type thing for men. And I think Manly Cans does a really good job of it. Their products tend to be of a little bit of a higher grade per product than the other variety gift baskets that are out there for men. But Benson Honey Farms is the best place to get honey in the world, and bootleg products, seasoning, chili, and salsa. It is definitely chili season. We got snow last week. Kids were out of school for like 3 days. They got a 5-day weekend, which was great, but it was also like, oh my God, my kids are at home while I'm trying to work. So anyway, thank you everybody who's supporting the show. Really appreciate it. Let's get to the material that you're here for. So I did a segment in a recent podcast. It might be the most recent one I put out. I don't remember. There's been so much news lately. I did kind of a for your consideration segment. Tossing something out there for you guys to think about. And I'm going to do that again, but it doesn't have specifically to do with Comey's handwritten note. That's part of it. That was more the focus of my last time I did this. This is a little bit different. So in that for your consideration segment, I was talking about Comey's handwritten note that we got from the case. And the relevance of it, what it signifies, and what it was made out to signify in a lot of media, especially influencer and outrage media on the right, is that this proves Comey lied in that September 30th hearing all those years ago about not remembering the referral he got from CIA about the Clinton plan intelligence. And he lied when he said that Ratcliffe's memo that was declassified in that same month didn't make any sense to him, that it didn't ring any bells, this referral from the CIA. And if you don't remember what I'm talking about, I'll show it to you. Okay, I got it queued up right here.
So, do you recall getting an inquiry from the the intelligence community in September 2016 about a concern that the Clinton campaign was going to create a scandal regarding Trump and Russia?
I do not.
Now, there's a little bit of a game that gets played. It's actually, I shouldn't call it a game. Well, I should. The media play a game with this question and this answer and the whole line of it. But I will give them a little bit of grace on it because our brains do it to us naturally. We kind of interpret a question like this to ignore what the actual question was and to make it instead, do you remember learning about this Clinton plan to tie Trump to Russia in 2016? But that's a different question than what Lindsey Graham asked. Lindsey Graham is asking Comey, do you recall getting an inquiry from the intelligence community in September 2016? The question's not, do you recall a plan from the Clinton campaign about tying Trump to Russia? That's not the question. The question is, do you recall getting an inquiry from the intelligence community in September of 2016? It's a specific question. It's not playing word games at all. It's a key difference here. He's not asking, did you learn about the plan? He's asking, did you get an inquiry which has a meaning from the intelligence community, which is an entity, a group of intelligence. It's the 17, 18 agencies, right? And government outfits that are part, the intelligence community is all of that. The DNI, the CIA, the FBI, the DIA, the NRO, I think also. I mean, all of them. Right? And when there's an inquiry, we're talking about an official document, a request to the FBI about a specific piece of intelligence. That's what he's asking about. This is a very granular is not the word, but it's specific. But our brains we don't really hear that. Now, a person who's in that world, they do hear it. Those words, inquiry, intelligence community, they understand what that is. It reminds me, well, I won't bring that up. I won't. It reminds me of the games that were played around the Hunter Biden laptop, but that's a different recording for a different day. So anyway, let's go back to the question here, because I want you to hear what he's asking.
So, do you recall getting an inquiry from the the intelligence community in September 2016 about a concern that the Clinton campaign was going to create a scandal regarding Trump and Russia?
I do not.
You don't remember getting a investigatory lead from the intelligence community?
See, that's a specific thing. You don't remember getting an investigatory lead from the intelligence community?
Hang on a second. Let me find my document here.
They do this for a moment. He's misplaced the document.
September the 7th. 2016, the U.S. intelligence officials forwarded an investigative referral of FBI to FBI Director James Comey and Assistant Director of Counterintelligence Peter Strzok regarding U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server. You don't remember getting that or being taught? That doesn't ring
bells with me.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty stunning thing. It didn't ring a bell, but it did come to you. Let's just end with this. You get this inquiry from the intelligence.
Now, see, he says it doesn't ring a bell with me. And this has caused much, many accusations of you're lying. You're so bad. And remember at this time when this hearing is happening, this had just been released. This hearing's on September 30th. It's on September 29th. That same month, just the day before, Ratcliffe drops this. Now, maybe a bit of a, I'm not going to call it dirty, but it was definitely a play. What a play by DNI Director Ratcliffe. To the day before Comey appears in that hearing, Ratcliffe drops this very famous memo. And he declassifies the letter, the memo behind the referral that Lindsay's talking about. He declassifies that behind it. So right here in late July, this is what Lindsey Graham just read. And this right here on 7th September. Actually, he read this one, yeah. 7th September, U.S. intelligence officials forwarded an investigative referral to Comey and Strzok regarding Hillary's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private mail server. That's what he's just been asked about right here. And Comey says that doesn't ring any bells with me.
Doesn't
ring bells with me.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty stunning thing. It didn't ring a bell, but it did come to you. Let's just end with this.
And then they move on. Now, this exchange, Comey saying, I do not recall getting an inquiry from the intelligence community regarding that. And that portion, this paragraph right here from this letter, this memo, that doesn't ring any bells with me, would go on to form the basis for count 3 in the failed indictment against Comey. And I know you guys know this, but again, I'm setting all this up. You'll be glad I did later. I hope you are. Actually, it was count 1. I'm sorry. It was count 1, and then they removed it. And it was then they moved this one up, became count 1, and the other one was count 2. So right here, the Comey lied. He gave a false statement to Lindsey Graham when he said he did not remember being taught of person 1's approval of a plan concerning person 2 and the 2016 U.S. presidential election. But he was a lie because he had, in fact, been provided information regarding Hillary's approval of a plan concerning Trump in the 2016 election. That was the failed count. Now, go here. So that memo, which we have right here, this is that referral. It's called a CIOL. Okay. Right here. 7th September 2016. And it says the following information is provided for the exclusive use of your bureau for background investigative action or lead purposes as appropriate. Please provide a copy of this memorandum to FBI Special Agent Officer Information Redacted, which I think that would have been struck. Restricting the use of the memorandum needs to be compartmentalized, and to avoid possible compromise of the source, any investigative action taken in response to this information should be coordinated with Chief Counterintelligence Mission Center. It may not be used in any legal proceeding, including FISA. This information may not be uploaded to SIPRNet or JWIC space system, irrespective of classification level of the system. They can't. This is the highest, secretest thing. Okay, is what it says. And then you have these redaction blocks here. But you can see in between them, per FBI verbal request, CIA provides the below examples of information the Crossfire Hurricane Fusion Cell has gleaned to date. An exchange discussed, and then just redacted right there, discussing a U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server. And then redaction, then a point about, according to open sources, Goosever 2.0 is an individual or group of hackers whom U.S. believes is tied to Russian intelligence services. Also, per open sources, Goosever 2.0 claimed credit for hacking the DNC. And then a redacted portion and another redacted portion, okay? Now, in United States v. Comey's handwritten note, which was taken, let's see, it'd be 21 days after this referral. Oops, I clicked the wrong place. After this referral was sent to the FBI, Comey makes those handwritten notes 21 days later and mentions some of the things that are in this. And so the indictment was saying, hey, that's how we know he's lying, is because he had been provided information regarding this because of, we know that this was sent over 21 days before. And those notes show he had awareness of this, but that wasn't Lindsey question. That wasn't Lindsey Graham's question. Lindsey Graham's question was not, do you have awareness of a plan by the Clinton campaign to tie Trump to Russia in 2016? That wasn't the question. The question was, do you recall getting an inquiry? What? You don't remember 7th September 2016? U.S. intelligence officials forwarding an investigative referral to you and Strzok? There. I don't know how did I do that? There you go. Memorandum for Director, FBI. Attention, Peter Strzok. Okay, stick with me. So in the Comey case, we get this story. Now, Rogan, here, it might even be easier for me to just go to my article for a moment. Justhuman.substack.com. So, or go to my YouTube and listen to me read it. So in here, I went into how room 9582, the hidden secret room at the FBI, where there were the burn bags. Cash called it a vault of evidence that all of these arrogant people put in the secret room, and they thought nobody would ever find it there. So silly. So, whoops, we found it. And Cash even says, I found a room that Comey and others hid from the world in the Hoover building, full of documents and hard drives that no one had ever seen or heard of. We're going through it right now. So when we get to the exhibits, in this case, we get the story of the room, the real story. It says they found this room, this skiff, and it had all of this stuff, including the then classified appendix to the Durham report, and it had other Russiagate related documents, J6 related documents, copies of Comey's handwritten notes, which they filed here. And then you go and you get this memo, or actually this opening EC. Okay. And here's the note I'm talking about from September 26, 2016. And it says right here, cursory inventory. This is from the FBI's opening EC for a preliminary investigation. which I said in this article I would go into later. And this is me going into it. They found in that SCIF the existence of classified documents, which is the right place for classified documents to be, including documents believed to be official records inside burn bags, which appeared to have been placed in the SCIF around the time frame of the 2025 presidential inauguration, Friday, January 17th through Wednesday, January 22nd. A brief review of the contents of the burn bags revealed that some of the documents left behind may have come from a collection of records held by certain unidentified senior government officials at FBI headquarters, meaning, of course, Comey and some others. And when you go into this referral, it tells you they took some steps to identify, they got the access logs like all SCIFs have. The preliminary steps of investigation also include a limited number of FBI employee interviews and an assessment of the nature of the documents found inside the burned bags, which revealed a variety of classified and unclassified records. Among the records found were many related to the FBI's Mar-a-Lago search, the January 6th Capitol breach, the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, as well as a copy of the classified appendix to John Durham's special counsel investigation. Moreover, and I made a post the other day, and I told everybody, when an FBI, DOJ, intelligence community document starts a sentence with "moreover," pay attention to what comes next. Moreover, an additional record discovered as part of this management review process was an original referral by the Central Intelligence Agency to former FBI Director James Comey, known as a Counterintelligence Operational Lead, CIOL. This CIOL, believed to have been missing for several years, was dated September 7th, 2016, and contained certain intelligence related to the 2016 U.S. presidential election campaign. The CIO was found in a storage closet adjacent to the director's office and was subsequently transported to the 9582 SCIF. Former Director Comey previously testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee that he was unfamiliar with this CIOL as well as its related intelligence. Now, this would be a good time for me to play that squirrel meme. If there was ever a time to play this meme, it is now. Hope that wasn't too loud. But maybe it needs to be, because I think this is truly, truly, truly one of those moments. Allow me to continue. From the Durham report. When interviewed by Durham, CIA Director Brennan could not recall when he actually saw the Clinton plan intelligence, but he did not think he had the information when he spoke to Comey on the morning of July 29th, 2016. That would be just days after the Democratic National Convention, where Hillary was selected officially, and just days after the reported approval of the plan. Brennan's recollection was that he spoke with Director Comey on the morning of July 29th, 2016, to brief him on the July 28th meeting that Brennan had with the president, which Comey was not there for. Brennan could not recall when he actually saw the Clinton plan intelligence, but he did not think he had the information when he spoke to Comey that morning. Immediately after communicating with the president, Comey, and DNI Clapper to discuss relevant intelligence, Brennan then moved intel related to Russia's election interference efforts into a fusion cell, including the Clinton plan intelligence. Now, a fusion cell is an interagency work group. It's people from FBI, people from CIA, maybe other places, and it's analysts, investigators, and they put it, just that group interagency is going to work on this material, investigate it, develop it, source it, all of those things. And it's meant to limit who's exposed to this the highly sensitive intelligence and prevent leaks. You know that it's only the people in this group are the only people who know about this stuff. So if something leaks, it came from somebody in that fusion group, and you can perhaps more easily trace it down. It's like, just like that, the CIOL said, you don't upload this stuff to CIPRNet. You don't upload it to JWIX. It doesn't matter what classification level you give it. You don't use it in any legal proceeding. You don't put it in a FISA application. It should not be in any electronic database. It's of the utmost secrecy here. It's literally intelligence that the Dutch gathered, which it doesn't say here, but we now know it's intelligence that the Dutch intelligence group got thanks to their hacking of the Russian hackers and getting into their chat rooms. And they even went so far as to hack into the security system at the building where the Russian hackers worked and could watch these people come and go from the building and watch them log in. They knew what times they went to work and what times they clocked out. They completely infiltrated electronically the Russian hackers. And they were reading the reports that the Russian hackers were writing for Putin and his officials regarding the 2016 election and the hacks that they had done to Hillary Clinton, her and people in her campaign, to the Soros people, Bernardo or whatever. They were reading their emails and exchanges. And then they were writing the reports, and we went through all that in the Durham appendix. So Brennan moves all this stuff into a fusion cell. August 3rd, 2016, a couple days later, there's a White House briefing, and it's the famous briefing where we see Brennan's notes. These right here. And he has little initials on the left-hand side with people's names. Dennis, which is Dennis McDonough, Susan for Susan Rice. And then there's one JC, which everybody assumes is James Comey. Maybe it's James Clapper. I don't know. But everybody assumes JC right here is James Comey. And right here, Donald Trump, it says right here, and alleged approval by Clinton on 26 July, proposed plan from her foreign policy advisor, which was Juliana Smith, I believe, to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal, alleging election interference by Russian security services. And so it's like, okay, well, Comey must have learned about this at this meeting on August 3rd. That's the infamous White House briefing, August 3rd, 2016. However, Durham in his investigation was unable to determine precisely when the FBI first obtained any details of the Clinton plan intelligence, other than Comey attending that August 3rd meeting. But it appears some details were communicated to the FBI no later than August 22nd, 2016. So some information ended up being conveyed to people at the FBI. And he learned that from Brian Auten, I believe, and Section Chief Moffa, the most senior intelligence analyst on the Crossfire Hurricane team. They got an email that included a summary of the contents of the Clinton plan intelligence, but Durham Special Counsel's office could not identify any replies or follow-up actions taken by FBI personnel as a result of this email. Put a pin in that. September 2nd, an official, unnamed, from the fusion cell verbally briefs Auten, Moffa, and other FBI personnel regarding information that the CIA planned to send to the FBI, a written investigative referral, including the Clinton plan intelligence. So this is the heads up. CIA is sending over a CIOL. This is the heads up. 5 days before it's going to arrive. We got this memo coming over. And who sees it? Who knows about it? Auten, Moffa, a couple other people, unnamed. But they're Crossfire Hurricane agents. Separate and apart from this meeting, FBI records reflect that by no later than that same date, September 2nd, then FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence Bill Priestap was also aware of the specifics of the Clinton plan intelligence, as evidenced by his own handwritten notes, which Durham got. Five days later, September 7th, bam, this memo comes. Okay. It's addressed to Comey. Attention, Peter Strzok, because he's the head of counterintelligence. Then I already showed you that stuff, right? However, now this is another thing to put a pin in, and this is another moment. None of the FBI personnel who agreed to be interviewed by Special Counsel John Durham could specifically recall receiving this memo, nor did anyone recall the FBI doing anything in response to this referral memo. In late September 2016, a high-ranking U.S. national security officials, or a group of them, including Comey and Clapper, I typoed and wrote corny here, received an intelligence product on Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election that included Clinton plan intelligence. And that is the date of Comey's handwritten notes, September 26, 2016, that were filed in the James Comey case. So it would seem, oh, well, maybe he knows about it then. He has awareness of the plan, but that wasn't the question. The question was, were you aware in September of 2016 of Clinton plan intelligence? That wasn't, the question was, do you recall getting an inquiry from the intelligence community in September of 2016? I do not recall. You don't recall, and then he reads this specific paragraph to him. Comey says, that doesn't ring a bell. And everybody thinks he's lying. But consider, now that we have this thing right here, this opening EC showing an investigation, this is where I'm going to kind of tie some things up. This tells us that in room 9582, the hidden room at FBI headquarters that Cash found and put his team on investigating, they found the original CIOL, the one Lindsey Graham was referring to, the one Comey said that he doesn't ring any bell. He doesn't recall getting that. That it was the original was believed to have been missing for several years, dated September 7th. It was found in a storage closet adjacent to the director's office and then was moved to the 9582 skip. It doesn't tell you when that happened. It doesn't tell you when it was found in that closet, how they know it was found in that closet, or that it was moved, when it was moved to that skiff. It does mention Comey previously testified that he doesn't remember ever getting it. And to put not too fine a point on this, my friend Eric Garland said, in industry jargon, this appears to be a big deal. There's a pattern here. There's a pattern of people, of the director not recalling getting this referral, people at the FBI not recalling ever seeing it or seeing anything done about it, the people at the FBI who we know had some awareness of the Clinton plan intelligence down to at least some specifics, Moffa, Auten, Priestap. There's no information that Durham could find that they ever did anything about it. They never followed up on this email that they got alerting them, hey, we're going to send this investigative referral to you guys. Nothing ever happens with it. It meets a dead end, almost like somebody stuffed it into a closet at FBI headquarters to prevent Comey and Strzok from ever seeing it and doing anything with it. And if that's what happened, and there truly is an investigation, which is what this shows, that's what this is. That's what this filing is the opening electronic communication from July 21st of this summer. And what is it looking into? Is this investigation predicated on we believe that a former FBI director lied when he told Lindsey Graham he never got that referral? That's not what this is about. Look what they're investigating. This is a request to open and assign a preliminary investigation to investigate the activities or involvement of current and or former FBI employees for potential violations of Title 18 U.S.C. 2071, which is concealment, removal, or mutilation generally, and other related offenses between July 1st, 2016 and the present day. And in this opening EC, it tells a little bit of a story about finding room 9582 and the burn bags and people rushing in and out of there. And then it goes on to mention a few records. FBI's Mar-a-Lago search documents, January 6 Capitol breach documents, Crossfire Hurricane investigation documents, Durham classified appendix, and then what? What's that word? Moreover. Oh, you better sit up and pay attention there. Anytime you see moreover begin a sentence in a document such as this, sit up and pay attention. It's the most important part. An additional record discovered as part of this management review process was an original referral by the CIA to FBI Director James Comey, known as a Counterintelligence Operational Lead. It was believed to have been missing for several years and was dated September 7th, 2016. That's what this is about. And what happened later on? What happened a little bit later on? Well, they indict Comey for some stuff, for lying. False statement. It doesn't even make sense. The charge itself, the indictment itself against Comey is factually flawed. It misquotes Ted Cruz in his questions. It doesn't even get the persons right. We go through this whole case, and you can read my article, justhuman.substack.com, and I'll take you through all the things we got about, which we got a lot of stuff from it. A lot. But this article also serves as a review of all sorts of disclosures that we got throughout the year 2025. In fact, there's so many that there's like 50 footnotes almost. There's 47 footnotes to things we learned in 2025. And a good deal of them came from the Comey case. But here's the next aha moment. What happened last month? Besides the Comey case being dismissed. This did. Brennan Strzok, Lisa Page, subpoenaed as part of a federal Russiagate probe. Up to 30 subpoenas sent out. November 7th, 2025. And we already know there's multiple grand juries happening in the Southern District of Florida right now. Well, there's at least one happening now, but there's supposed to be 2 more, if not 3 more, impaneled next year, are the rumors. But if those are to be believed, grand juries should be secret, so we shouldn't know any of this. But this administration and the people who are on top of the departments in it love to be showmen. And I think they leak these things on purpose to just to have a good show. To have a good show, right? Now, 30 subpoenas go out. 30 subpoenas to people in Russiagate, and specifically the people named are the people that would have been around Comey and known about that CIOL, Brennan and Strzok. Now, if Brennan, Strzok, or Page, we don't know what kind of subpoenas these are, okay? We don't know if they're just subpoenas for documents, records. We don't know. And I'm sure some of them are those things. But if they're subpoenas for testimony, we want you to come and sit with us. We want to talk to you. You know, if someone's a target of an investigation, generally you don't do that. It's my understanding. You don't do that. But if you were investigating a missing document having been found in a secret room, wouldn't you want to talk to the man who sent that document? And wouldn't you want to talk to the two people it was addressed to, which would be Comey and Strzok? And if it's a document that had been missing for years, and your investigation that you were opening was about a violation of the federal statute that would apply to someone concealing or removing such a document, you'd want to talk to those people, huh? Oh, there we go. So what if one of the whole reasons, one of the many reasons we went through this whole thing is because we were trying to get at how this document was concealed from the people who could have done something about it. So let me put a bow on it. This referral is coming from CIA. At the time it's coming over, Comey has perhaps some knowledge of the Clinton plan intelligence that the CIA has that we got from our Dutch partners, thanks to their hacking the Russian groups who had hacked Hillary and her people. But he doesn't have this referral, and he doesn't have the specifics. But the CIA is sending it over. And had he gotten these specifics, it could have changed the direction of Crossfire Hurricane. But perhaps some people working on Crossfire Hurricane don't want the direction of Crossfire Hurricane to change, because they like where the Steele dossier is leading them with that investigation. And they get a heads up in an email from Durham saying, hey, I got this thing. Sorry, the email's not from Durham. Our information on this is from the Durham report. And Durham says he was unable to determine precisely when the FBI first obtained any details on the Clinton plan intelligence other than Comey, who attended that briefing. But we don't know the exact information that was conveyed at that briefing. But no later than August 22nd, 2016, some details were communicated to the FBI, and they were communicated to who? People in the Crossfire Hurricane team. FBI cyber analyst, supervisory intelligence analyst Brian Otten, section chief Moffa. They're the most senior analyst on the Crossfire Hurricane team, and they were provided an update on these Russian intelligence materials. And the people at the CIA, they were trying to update them on this because it could alter the way they were looking at the Steele dossier. But maybe they didn't want to change the way they were looking at it. because it was leading them down a road they wanted to go. So they just didn't do anything with it. The email that they got included a summary of the Clinton plan intelligence, August 22nd, 2016. September 2nd, an official from the fusion cell verbally briefs Crossfire Hurricane people, including Auten and Moffa. Hey, we got this investigative referral coming to the CIA, from the CIA to you guys about this Clinton plan intelligence. Uh-oh, that means there's going to be a document. And it's probably going to, they may have known at that time, I don't know. It's probably going to loop in the director who was willing to investigate Hillary Clinton for the email server. And these guys may not know it, but at the same time also has an investigation going into the Clinton Foundation. Uh-oh. So then, separate and apart from this meeting on September 2nd, then FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence Bill Priestap, he also becomes aware. And Durham knows that because of his handwritten notes, because he has a meeting in the morning of September 2nd with Moffa, DAD Dina Corsi, and acting AD for cyber Eric Spory. But the office was unable, Durham's office was unable to determine the exact contours of Priestap's knowledge, however, in part because he declined to be interviewed by Durham. And then 5 days later, the CIA sends that referral, that CIOL, that counterintelligence investigative lead. What do you do with a lead? You follow it. You investigate it. And it should have changed the entire way that the Crossfire team was taking in the information from Steele and the way they were looking at it and the way they were treating it. It should have completely altered it and made it so they could easily see what it was. It was part of that Clinton plan to hoodwink the intelligence services and law enforcement services of the U.S. into a bogus investigation that would damage a presidential candidate, would tie him to the Russian hacks, and would enable Hillary to have an easier victory. And later on, enable her to continue that investigation into that person and destroy Donald Trump, or, and I think this is what it really was about, the bonus of the Steele dossier, the bonus of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation for Hillary Clinton, had it been followed through the way she dreamed it to be and her team, and had she won in 2016, what would she have done? I think she would have allowed it to be exposed as a bogus investigation and then blamed James Comey for it and fired him and put Andy McCabe as head of the FBI. And then Andy McCabe would have shut down the Clinton server stuff forever, the Anthony Weiner stuff forever, and the Clinton Foundation whistleblower stuff. And all of that would have been shut down for cronies that were getting wrapped up. Nope, not happening anymore. Something that's very, very rarely touched on is if she had won, she could have used Crossfire Hurricane and the scandal that we now know it is. She could have used it to gut the FBI. Which is what most right-wing media are trying to convince you, and I've spent the past 8 years, 10 years trying to convince you, should happen anyway. That's a discussion for another time. Anyway, none of the people that agreed to be interviewed could recall anything ever being done with this referral. Probably because it got stuffed into a closet, as we now know. The CIOL was found in a storage closet adjacent to the director's office and was subsequently transported to the 982 SCIF. So if I was running an investigation into how that happened, I'd want to talk to Comey. I'd want to talk to Brennan. I'd want to talk to Strzok. I'd want to talk to Moffa. I'd want to talk to Priestap. Try and figure out who stuffed it in that closet and when. And knowing all this information, now that you know this, does it sound like Comey is lying here in this interview, in these questions from Graham? Or does it sound like maybe he's telling the truth and he's giving us the contours of the investigation that's happening right now?
So do you recall getting an inquiry from the the intelligence community in September 2016 about a concern that the Clinton campaign was going to create a scandal regarding Trump and Russia?
I do not.
You don't remember getting a investigatory lead from the intelligence community? Hang on a second. Let me find my document here.
That's a big deal.
September the 7th, 2016, the U.S. intelligence officials forwarded an investigative referral of FBI to FBI Director James Comey and Assistant Director of Counterintelligence Peter Strzok regarding U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server. You don't remember getting that or being taught? That doesn't
ring bells with me.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty stunning thing. It didn't ring bells. It did.
That's a big deal. Counterintelligence Lead gets sent to the FBI from the CIA regarding Hillary Clinton's plan to frame Donald Trump during the 2016 election, and someone stuffed it in a damn closet and hid it there for years and completely altered the order of politics, news, foreign relations. You can weaponize intelligence by making it a lie and then giving it to the appropriate agency. You can also weaponize it by hiding it. Maybe that's what happened. If you enjoyed this segment, this video, hit up my link tree. You can find all the ways to support the show. Feed my coffee habit and my pacer addiction, ko-fi.com. Best way to support the show is justhuman.substack.com. Paid subscription there. $7 a month. Contributes to my caffeine habit and pacer addiction. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.